We are live here on a Titans Tuesday. We got a big Titans Tuesday and a little sprinkle of some Jets today as Aaron Rodgers finally goes to New York and the Packers get what they want. But we are going to talk about Rand Carthon and really what was said yesterday. A lot was said yesterday by Rand Carthon. Sam, you were live there at St. Thomas Sports Park listening to Rand, asking Rand questions, figuring out what this team is going to do over the next, week or so to improve their roster. They got a lot of decisions to make, and at the top of that decision list is the quarterback position. It's been talked about for weeks on end. Now you can taste it. I fly out to Kansas City on Thursday morning with our guy Jake Evans, our social media growth manager. You and Austin and some of our other A to Z Sports employees are going to hold down the fort here, talking Titans. We got a big week ahead of us. It's good to be back in the saddle, even though I'll be back out of the saddle here in a couple of days. But we got a lot to talk about today. Rand Carthon talked about planning for the future, where Ryan Tannehill stands, and if Ryan Tannehill knows where he stands as a Tennessee Titan under contract, at least under one more year. He did talk about Derrick Henry, some other quarterback situations with CJ Stroud and some other prospects that we'll probably get into over the next couple of days, but a lot to dive into. We may have so much to dive into. We're going to see where sports trivia lies on today's schedule. So let's get through the big time topics. We're going to ask some big time questions. And before we officially get this thing started, Sam, tell all of the fans what they need to do.
Well, Zach, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. It is NFL draft week, and it's like there is a buzz around just about everything that you look at, everything that you turn to. And we got some buzz on this show this morning. Like throughout this week, I think there's a new energy building with Titans fans in anticipation for what is happening Thursday night. So if you've got buzz or you want to share the buzz to somebody in your life that you know loves the Tennessee Titans or loves NFL football, share the show today on a Tuesday. Make sure that you hit the share button on Facebook if that's where you're watching. If it's YouTube, take that YouTube link, send it into a group chat or text it to a friend. Retweet us at A to Z Sports, and then go ahead and share Twitch. We got a couple loyal people that are watching on Twitch regularly. We love you guys. Make sure you share that as well. We don't want to leave you out, but share before you go. That's the best way to support on a Tuesday.
There you go. I just got done sharing. You all should share as well. Let's officially get this thing started. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Zach Bingham. He is our Titans reporter, Sam Phelan, and we are A to Z Sports right here in the mornings. We've got a big show on tap for you today, talking about Rand Carthon and what all he said. But we also have got to thank our title sponsor, which is BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. You can bet on the NFL draft coming up. Get your bets in. NBA basketball. Sam, I stayed up late night watching the Lakers and LBJ beat Dylan Brooks and the Grizzlies. It was a great game. Phenomenal game. But the Lakers go up 3-1. You can get some action there on BetMGM. Also, thank our presenting sponsors, including Wilson County Hyundai at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Quick Trip down I-40 exit 236. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee. 200-plus locations across the state. That's fbhp.com/A to Z. The Bone and Joint Institute, state-of-the-art facility down there in Franklin, satellite locations all across Middle Tennessee. And Aura, make sure that you are protected when it comes to security. You got a lot of people calling your phone that shouldn't be calling your phone. Well, that's what Aura hooks you up, aura.com/ATOZ. You get a 2-week trial right there. We'll talk more about them and our presenting sponsors. All right, Sam, big day for the Titans yesterday as Rand Carthon, not Mike Vrabel, go to the podium. I don't know if Rand was joking when he said, Mike, we don't need you, or if he was being serious. If the big dogs come to eat and things have changed, I don't know. But Rand Carthon, I thought he handled himself very well. Look, we know why Amy Adams Strunk decided on Rand Carthon, because he, I think, presented himself very well, the organization very well, answered all of the questions that was asked to the best of his ability without giving things away. Sam, you were there live in person. what was your takeaway? And then I think we're going to start this thing off with the future of what the Titans could be. He was asked a lot of questions at this press conference.
No, I think you absolutely are correct. Like it's not hard to see why Amy Adams Strunk was, so enamored with Rand Carthon during the interview process and winded up settling on him to be her next general manager. He presents himself in a really great way. I mean, he came across as, a little bit more shy almost and professional the first couple times we talked to him, but I mean, this time around, Rand was dominating the room and very, not afraid to take on questions, not afraid to answer questions, not afraid to joke back and jab back at reporters. And it was just a very lighthearted press conference for a very stressful time in the year for both Rand, for media, for the franchise as a whole. So, yeah, I thought he crushed it. I thought he was informative and gave us some insight into what exactly his thought process was and the team's thought process was, while also, like you said, not giving anything away. There are things that he can't say this time of year, and we're aware of that. But overall, a very good job for Rand Carthon. And I think my takeaway from the press conference, Zach, really interesting, is that how Rand described the Titans situation in this draft. The draft is almost a microcosm of the offseason, right? Because the Titans are sitting at 11. They're in a very unique spot as an organization with a number of veterans on expiring contracts that, they could trade, they could keep, they could go up in the draft and be aggressive for the next guy in the future. They could fall back in the draft and try and make a push this year, and they could take a quarterback. They could not take a quarterback, but they want to lay a groundwork for themselves for the next 3 to 4 years. And Rand is going to start doing that ever so slightly as he gets comfortable in the GM role. And it all starts, like I said, at quarterback. What are you doing with Ryan Tannehill? What are you doing in the first round? And what does that mean for your competitive window in 2023 and the years beyond? That was a kind of that is the highly discussed topic with the Titans and something Rand fielded a lot of questions on. So this is the Titans GM when asked about the balance of keeping these veterans and being competitive or maybe looking for the next guy.
Do you look at this like there's kind of two ways here? You take a quarterback and possibly you're resetting a little bit. You're probably going to sacrifice some picks. You may have the quarterback sit. You may have to step back a little bit with the new quarterback versus if you don't and you stick with the veterans that you're going to draft to just be as good as possible next season. Is that better?
Yeah. I mean, again, all things are on the table. You don't know how this draft is going to go. Again, it's our job every year to look to improve this roster. And it's not a year-to-year thing, right? We have to see this thing from a macro level and prepare for the future. That's all a part of it. That's what you do when you're constructing contracts. You're not just looking to get a guy signed for this year. You're thinking about future ramifications of the contract and the percentage of the cap that it's going to charge and all those things. So, we're gonna be smart about whatever move we make that's going to set us up not only now but for the future as well.
So naturally, Zach, the question is, where is Ryan Tannehill with the Titans? Where does he stand with them? Where do they stand on the quarterback issue moving forward? And what do they define as being smart? Rand makes it sound like their position at QB is going to be reactive to what happens in front of them in the draft. But here's a comment from Rand that says he's already spoken with Ryan Tannehill about where he stands with the organization.
On the personal side of these guys and the rumors that come out about their contracts, and it seems like it's been very persistent with rumors about Ryan, including yesterday on SportsCenter. Can you make it easier on the player, in this case on Ryan, to shut it down and say, no, like Ryan will be the quarterback this year?
So just to let you guys in, Ryan and I had a conversation back in February that was between Ryan and I and Ryan and our organization. So Ryan knows where he stands with us, and that's really all that matters to me.
Zach, your reaction to those, because on one hand, you've got the GM saying, well, we have to see how this draft plays out. On the other hand, you have our starting quarterback right now, our veteran leader, already knows where he stands with us moving forward.
you know that meme. What do you mean by that? That's
Yes.
how I feel about that.
Cue the
is-
Drewski meme.
right? Yeah, I think Rand was professional in how he answered a lot of these questions. He didn't give a lot away, but he also, I didn't feel like, was just dodging every single spot, right? He talked about Derrick Henry, which probably we'll talk about tomorrow or the next day, and kind of joked around there. But for this, I feel like it was more deliberate. Is Ryan Tannehill knows where he stands, but also, Sam, what month is it?
Last time I checked, it was still April. Yeah,
Right,
April.
but he's saying that it was February, right?
True. Yeah, I
So
mean that's
what
2 months
all
ago
has
now.
changed from February to April? And so that's what I think I would kind of look at is the last time you had a sit down, serious conversation about the future of your starting quarterback was in February. I didn't mean a god dang thing to me. It's talking about now. This is April 25th. And so I think that was a way that Rand Carthon said, hey, that Brian Tannehill knew where he stood then, but we want to know, where does he stand now? Where will he stand on Thursday night? Where will he stand on Friday night? Where will he stand on Saturday afternoon? And will he stand in the same facility that he's been standing on Sunday morning? That's what I want to know. And I don't think that Rand answered that question, nor did I expect him to. But I need a little bit more recent conversations than February.
Well, he did use the word stands as if it was present, where he stands, currently stands with us. But do you view that as more of like as of now, Ryan is under contract and is the starting quarterback? It's like at present, Ryan knows where he stands with us. That might not apply Thursday. Is that kind of what you're getting at? That like what happens currently might not still be the case a couple days from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a window. I cannot, definitely say one way or the other because Rand did not say one way or the other. I am curious though, because one of the reasons why we did this topic this morning was that sparked a theory from you, Sam. You told us in our pre-show conversation is this video, there's a theory behind what you think. And I'm curious because we've just heard both sides of it, right? The future, and Rex Road, I think, asked that question like 3 times before Rand
Yeah.
was kind of messing with him. It was a tough question. I think I knew what Rex Road was trying to ask. That's a hard spot to ask it of. We all know what the topic is, but Rand's not going to say anything that, all of the other media and fans are talking about. And then you've got the Ryan Tannehill spot that references February instead of April, and that's a long time in between. I am curious, Sam. I'm going to play this one more time. I am curious to see what this video spoke to you on what your theory is about the Titans quarterback situation.
The personal side of these guys and the rumors that come out about their contracts, and it seems like it's been very persistent with rumors about Ryan, including yesterday on SportsCenter. Can you make it easier on the player, in this case on Ryan, to shut it down and say, like Ryan will be the quarterback this year?
So just to let you guys in, Ryan and I had a conversation back in February that was between Ryan and I and Ryan and our organization. So Ryan knows where he stands with us, and that's really all that matters to me.
Yeah, so the comment earlier, right, that was the all-encompassing question from Joe Rexrode about like where the Titans are as an organization. But those were the comments that really sparked a theory in me, Zach. So here is.
Well, don't tell me that theory yet.
You don't want it yet? Oh, all right.
No, I'm going to tell the fine
when.
folks about Farm Bureau Health Plans. And Farm Bureau Health Plans is a great theory that I had, and they helped me have about a year and a half ago. And I'm glad that I switched my plan. Health, dental, and vision, 200+ locations. Farm Bureau Health Plans of Tennessee is where to go to get your new health plan. You take a quick health assessment, and once that health assessment comes back, you get a quote. Then you realize your quote like I did, was a lot better than the plan that I previously had. You get teledoc conferences, you get dental, you get vision. There are so many different perks. And if you're in the state of Tennessee, you need to find out your plan. Get a quote today at fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Somewhere in between all of your NFL draft prep, all of your NFL draft buzz, and maybe all of your NBA, NHL playoff watching, find time to get with BetMGM and find time to check out a Major League Baseball game because BetMGM is offering an MLB offer. You sign up with the code ATOZ100, ATOZ100. Make your first deposit, then make a $10 money line wager on any MLB team to win their game. You get $100 instantly. So you find that team that you love, sit down, relax, enjoy a nice Major League Baseball game, and $100 instantly with a $10 money line wager. That's code ATOZ100. That's as good of a deal as it gets on any sports book anywhere. It's why BetMGM is the king of sports books, and we love them so much. So BetMGM app, ATOZ100.
All right, the theory. What's the theory behind, Rand Carthon saying that Ryan Tannehill knows where he stands as far as that conversation happened in February, but with the team as a starting quarterback, maybe a starting quarterback, what do you think that meant, Sam?
Well, Rand said it, right? I had a conversation with Ryan. Ryan knows where he stands with this team. So I am trying to connect the dots here because if you've been paying attention to social media, you would have seen this. The Tennessee Titans getting back to work for voluntary offseason workouts. And who's right there in the white long sleeve shirt putting in the work? None other than quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Now, Zach, I don't know if Rand Carthon has a conversation with Ryan Tannehill in February and says, look, Ryan, we're going to pursue our options in the draft, and you may or may not be back. If he says, look, Ryan, we're going to look to trade you and see what comes of it. If he says any of those things, I don't think Ryan Tannehill is at an offseason workout. You know why Ryan Tannehill's at an offseason workout? Because at 34 years old, with over 240 career starts, entering his age 35 season, and hopefully some good football left in the tank, he was probably told, our plan is for you to be the starter. That's my theory, that Ryan Tannehill has a good idea. He's going to be the Titans quarterback in 2023, regardless of what happens in the draft, that they'll play out the remaining year of his contract, and that when all of this is said and done, they'll go and part ways. But Ryan Tannehill has a chance to earn that next deal, earn that next starting quarterback opportunity somewhere in the league. And Rand can have an honest conversation about it with Ryan and say, look, we are looking for the future and for the replacement and for our future at quarterback 3-4 years from now. But that doesn't mean I want you to check out. You go to voluntary workouts as a QB to buy in, get to know your teammates, set a good leadership example. If you don't have confidence that you're going to be here, I don't think you do those things. And we've seen it with Ryan Tannehill in the past where he's gone on vacation. He's gone to train, down in Texas or Florida or wherever it is. But he's in Nashville and he's putting in the work right now because I think this is him trying to, set the precedent for this next season where he feels confident he'll be.
All right, so those are a little bit connecting the dots. Let's ask the chat. Do you think the Titans already know what they will do with Ryan Tannehill in 2023? Yes or no? You can comment in the comment section. Sam, that's a theory from you, right? We all have our own theories, but our question is, do you think the Titans already know what they will do with Ryan Tannehill in 2023? Yes or no? A lot has happened since February. A lot has happened just in the last couple of days, which we'll talk about later with Aaron Rodgers. Do you think the Titans already know what they will do with Ryan Tannehill? Or this could be a wait and see, Sam, right? Some people may say no and say, well, they don't know because they don't know how the draft is going to shake out. They don't know who they're going to pick. Some could say yes. So let's go to the chat. Steven says yes. So does Chris Frazier. Tighten up. Also, yes. Eddie goes with no. Got a string of yeses from Major Keys, Mark D, Fire, Jarvis, and Chris. No from Justin. No from Eric. Astro says yes. Kenny Hill says yes. Charles says yes. Jay thinks you're high on bath salts. I don't think he'd be acting this way if he was as high on bath salts. You look pretty composed there, Sam. Definitely from Nas. Yes. From Brad. Michael says yes. Yes, because Vrabel wants him, so he's bringing Vrabel into this. Nick says no, the Titans are waiting till draft night. Kay says yes. Deborah says yes. Denise says no. All Rand said was that he was under contract. And he said that a couple of times. He said that at the combine. That is not a commitment, nor is it an indictment, right? I mean, you have it's just stating the facts.
Yeah.
We breathe air as humans, right? That, the sun is bright. These are all just facts, but they don't really tell you a story of what the future holds. So a lot coming in. Rodgers says no, too much can happen in the draft, and so does Brad. But Andrew says yes, and Caleb says wait and see. Yep, from Teddy. All right, Den says yes. They're not a contender this year regardless. Devin says yes. None of these quarterbacks are day one starters. I mean, there's a lot of comments there. You are saying, though, that, yes, they already know what is going to happen.
That is my theory. Yeah. I mean, I could prove to be way wrong, right? I mean, they could always go ahead and trade Ryan Tannehill, and I will put my hand up and say, look, I didn't see that coming based on what we've heard from Rand in the recent weeks. But from what Rand has said, which is that Ryan knows where he is or stands with the organization in the future, with the fact that Ryan is still very much involved with the team, is at these workouts, with the idea that a lot of these quarterbacks probably couldn't hurt to, sit for 1 year and learn for 1 year, or at least half of a year. And then all the details that we went into yesterday, Zach, when I was on here with Austin, talking about why I don't think a trade for Ryan Tannehill is really all that likely, because I'm not sure the Titans have a trade partner. So if you're the Titans right now, I think you can look in the mirror and say, I don't know if we have a trade partner for this guy, but I know that we're probably going to need him regardless, either to be a veteran leader or to just be the one starter if you don't get a quarterback in the first round. And you feel good about him being on your team. Cutting him does absolutely nothing for you at this point. Like, that cap space, it doesn't do a ton for you after free agency is already over and most of the major trades on draft night have already been made. So I think the Titans already have an idea that Ryan Tannehill will be with the team in 2023 and will be their starting quarterback regardless of who they can get in the NFL draft. Because if it's not Bryce Young, you can make a case for any of the other QBs to take a year to sit, to learn, develop, and then be your guy the year after. Because I know Mike wants to compete. We know Rand wants to compete, but they have to try and find a blend of competing while also trying to find the next guy and building the next era of Titans football.
Andre gives some lunchbox money. He says fans pushing to being competitive in the division. Ironically, if the Titans beat the Jags last game, wouldn't be in this position for a blue player that Rand wants to get. And Andre's referring to the blue player, as Rand stated yesterday, a guy that could come in there and not be Caleb Farley and not be Isaiah Wilson, a guy that can actually play, that can actually impact your roster right out of the gates. And that's what 11 overall represents. Can you find that player? Here's where I stand. I've been saying for weeks on end against you and Austin, whoever the hell I do the show with, is that Ryan Tannehill grooming a young quarterback is the best case scenario. That makes the most sense. Both of you two were saying, no, you got to start, whoever you draft. I feel like that has kind of shifted for some reason. And I do believe that that is the smart approach, because the money that you're going to save on Ryan Tannehill, you're not going to spend. And you're going to give your young rookie quarterback maybe some experience, but it could be some bad experience. rookie quarterbacks can come in there and make a lot of mistakes, create a lot of bad habits. It's not a bad thing if you have the luxury of having a veteran quarterback that can help your young quarterback. It's not Ryan Tannehill's responsibility to sit there and baby the guy, but it is Ryan Tannehill's responsibility to approach the game as a professional, try to win football games, earn his money, earn his contract, and whoever can learn along the way, that's a benefit to the team and the franchise. I don't think that they know what is going to happen in the draft, though, Sam. I think that the draft in today's age is so unpredictable that it is very, very difficult for me to say without a shadow of a doubt to answer the question, yes, that the Titans already know what they're going to do with Ryan Tannehill. I don't think that they know.
But does it does it depend on the draft?
I do think that it does because now you have choices after the draft that you don't have currently, right? You have new players. Your roster looks different. You fielded calls from teams that you didn't expect to field on Friday night and Saturday morning, right? So it is unfair and irresponsible for me to say, yes, they already know what they are going to do with Ryan Tannehill in 2023. It doesn't mean that they don't have a plan, but you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I can go through the alphabet backwards a little bit at least and do a magic bucket exercise, but they got a bunch of plans, but they do not know what they are going to do with Ryan Tannehill. Sam, if somebody comes out of the woodwork and wants to trade for Ryan Tannehill in a crazy trade, the Commanders, who knows, then your situation has changed. And Rand going through this for the first time as a general manager, I don't think can sit there and say, we know what we're going to do. I think that's what the draft represents. And Sam, I'll double this down, especially this year. Look at what has occurred. And the best part about A to Z Sports, we track all the analytics. We know what's doing well and what's not doing well, fan tendencies, what the honestly, the temperature in the room, the NFL room is. Sam, what we figured out in the last 25 days is everybody's wait and see. And that happened after the Panthers traded for the number 1 overall pick. And after that, really nothing has happened since yesterday. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers finally got traded to the Jets. We figured that was going to happen before the draft, but not a damn thing has happened. So I think that all general managers going into this draft, a quarterback-heavy draft, do not know what's going to go down.
You can't know what's going to unfold in the draft, and there are extreme circumstances that can always change your plan and force you to adapt. If a team calls and offers a first-round pick for Ryan Tannehill, all of a sudden everything hits the fan, you trade him, and you go pick up the pieces, right? Like, there are extremes that cause you to react and adapt. But I do think you go into the draft with a plan of what your roster could look like afterwards, the same way that you do a draft board or an idea of what your biggest needs are. And I think the Titans have a pretty good sense right now that Ryan Tannehill is going to be their quarterback, and they are planning and operating as if he will be, unless there is an extreme that throws things off. I think if they go get CJ Stroud at number 3, there's still a really good chance Ryan Tannehill's the QB. Because like you said, grooming a younger quarterback.
Did you changed on this? Right? Is that correct? Like 2 weeks ago, I'm not living in La La Land. Because you and Austin are different, but you're the same, because you sat there and told me saying if they draft Anthony Richardson or they draft even Stroud or Levis, that they're going to cut him after June 1st.
I've been of the point that I think if you draft a quarterback, I would like to see the QB play. I would like to see Tannehill gone and see what you have in the young guy. I have started to get a growing sense in the weeks and days leading up to the draft that that's not the case, and that's not where they're at. I believe pretty
Does Austin
firm.
think the same way? I hadn't
I'm
talked
not
to
sure.
him. We'll
I
find
haven't-
out maybe tomorrow.
We might find out. I'm just in the days leading up to the draft and being at the press conference and hearing what Rand had to say after a month of not hearing from Rand, after seeing how, free agency played out and the trade markets have played out for quarterbacks, the Aaron Rodgers deal getting finalized to the Jets today. I look and I say, one, very unlikely that there's a trade partner out there for Ryan Tannehill who's desperate enough to take his full salary and give you decent trade compensation. Could happen. You could be surprised. I don't
It's
see
tough to see because there's not a lot of teams. Ryan Tannehill at that price tag has to play.
So right. So that's step one, right? And so if you're paying him and playing him, it's a team that's looking to win some games. Like, you are not in a rebuild or tank mode, but giving snaps to Ryan Tannehill. So like Washington's the name that you brought up. But Washington is kind of in an odd move. Like, their ownership situation is very odd to me, where what kind of money are they going to spend on a quarterback right now? They like what they have in Sam Howell.
I think it's more compensation. So it's not financial compensation. It's asset compensation for the Commanders. The Commanders don't want to give up a bunch of picks for the new owner to come in there and say, I don't have any picks. But to bridge, and that's what Ryan Tannehill has been. He is just a bridge. He was a better bridge than Marcus Mariota, but he was not a good as bridge as an AFC champion. So, I think the Commanders could make sense because they would pay him for 1 year, and then the contract's done, and they can go about their merry way.
Maybe that might be the only one, right? But we don't know, right, inside the Commanders building, how highly do they think of Sam Howell? They've been, publicly backing him very much. That might not mean a whole lot of anything, but we'll see how that plays out. They're really the only trade partner. But if the trade partner is in question, right, as you just pointed out and you tend to agree with, the money doesn't help you in a cut situation at this point in time, because unless it's a CJ Stroud and you cut Tannehill to go and get DeAndre Hopkins or make some crazy other secondary trade, that money feels like it's just, some less money that the team has to pay. Like, the organization is out of this year. So with those things in mind, hearing that Tannehill knows where he's going to be, seeing that he's at the workouts, knowing that the Titans are sniffing around a quarterback, but personally, I think a trade back is more likely from 11. And they are not going to, I don't get the sense that they're going to get desperate or necessarily are in a position to move heaven and earth to go get a QB unless it is CJ Stroud at number 3. I just get the feeling that the plan and the knowledge is Tannehill's going to be the guy. And it's something else Rand Carthon talked about, Zach, where he said, it was funny, right? You're seeing all the rumors that come public about the Titans are going to trade Jeffrey Simmons. The Titans are going to trade Jeffrey Simmons, just like Jeremy Fowler came forward with the, Ryan Tannehill could be available via trade and teams think he's available. And he said that lasted all the way up until we signed Jeffrey Simmons. And then that kind of went away. So it's hard. Teams, people.
But do you think they actually told Ryan Tannehill that he's the starter in February?
Not necessarily.
Why would they do that? You don't say anything. You just say, Ryan, you're under contract. Go do your work. Act like you're the starter. We need you. That's great. But that doesn't mean a damn thing in the NFL. It's business.
I think it's fine to go tell Ryan Tannehill, hey, look, our plan is for you to be here. Our plan is for you to, to be our starter, but we are going to entertain the draft. We're going to go look at these quarterbacks. We're going to go check them out and see what we think. And, we'll see what opportunities are there, but our plan is for you to be here. So we want you to be in the building. We want you to be around. We want you to invest in your teammates and your new teammates from free agency, and plan as if you're going to be here, and, we'll see what happens. I think that's a very fair conversation to have with Ryan Tannehill. Again, if he wasn't confident, Zach, if he's not confident he's going to be here, why is he here? Why is he in the building?
Why wouldn't he? He's a team player. He has consistently been there. That's the type of player that Ryan Tannehill is. Not everybody is like that. Deion Sanders, when he was playing, is not like that, right? Keyshawn Johnson is a good example. He's not a guy that was like that. He didn't show up. But Ryan Tannehill, historically, the type of person that he is, just like Jeffrey Simmons, just like Derrick Henry, those guys, they have been loyal. And, Derrick Henry gave the Titans a very team-friendly contract when he didn't have to. Jeffrey Simmons played when he did not have to last year. He could have sat out because of what he represented to the team, and he didn't. He played the little, Instagram game of throwing that off. Now Derrick Henry's playing a little bit of that Instagram game. But Ryan Tannehill has consistently been the leader of the football team at quarterback, at least, and has gone about his business. Even when they drafted Malik Willis, he said, it's not my job to groom him, which is true. He just went about his business. So I don't look into as much as you do, it sounds like, of him showing up to off-season workouts, because you've got to look at the person and you've got to look at the player. That's their tendency. And what does that say, Sam? That helps Ryan Tannehill, because when he's traded, or if he's traded, or if he goes to another team, that's the type of player that he is.
Well, then what do you make of the comment, Ryan knows where he stands with us? But I mean, is that just not true? Because if the conversation is, hey, we want you to come in and do your work, right? And that's it.
You're under
right?
contract with the Tennessee Titans. That could be where he stood.
That's not knowing where you stand.
Yeah, it is.
Knowing what your contract is, which he doesn't need Rand Carthon to tell him that he's under contract.
You're on roster. You're on this roster currently.
He wants Rand
They don't
Carthon.
owe him anything.
I'm not saying that they do, but Rand has made a comment. He knows where he stands. That is not a contract thing, because Ryan knows that regardless. But Rand had a discussion with Ryan in February to talk about the state of things, and said, Ryan knows where he stands with us. I feel good about that. So there's nothing to that conversation. There was no sort of plan for the future as part of that conversation. There was no sort of insight into what.
It's February, Sam. Look, if you sat there and asked me where you were going to be, in September, I mean, not saying like a part of the organization, you could be elevated. You could have a bigger role. You could have something different, right? Who knows? I can't sit here in February and tell where Sam Phelan's going to be in April, and nor do I think that Rand Carthon can sit there and tell Ryan Tannehill where he's going to be in April either. And I don't think Ryan Tannehill expects to know or ask those type of questions. That's why I just believe that Rand Carthon talked to Ryan Tannehill, said, look, I was just hired here. I'm trying to do my job. I'm trying to improve this football team. I'm looking at all ends of the roster, just like I should. I'm trying to get to know you and know that you have won games in this league. We value, as a franchise, players that have won games in this league. I'll tell you that. But we're going to go do our due diligence on all of these young quarterbacks. We've got to look at the future. You've only got one more year on your deal. That's where we stand. Okay? Okay. Then that could have been a situation, and Rand Carthon hasn't lied to a single person.
I mean, it could be.
I don't think it is. The scenario of where that was into where we are today, that's my take. We're all entitled to our opinion. That's the best part about A to Z Sports and this show. I just don't think that they 100% know what Ryan Tannehill is going to do in 2023 on April 25th, a few days before they draft at 11 overall.
So then counterpoint, do you think that they could have the same perspective that you have, right? You've been adamant on even if you draft a quarterback, the best case scenario is to play Ryan and have a guy learn and develop, because it's not an ideal situation for a rookie quarterback to come and get his experience in, right? I have
no reason to tell anybody that, Sam. That's the difference. There is no reason to tell my plan to a quarterback that I have yet drafted.
Forget about telling the quarterback, right? But is that's your take on the drafting a quarterback with Tannehill situation, right? Is that it's not the ideal fit for a guy to get his experience, and it would behoove them to have Tannehill for a year while this guy develops, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
for certain players, yes, absolutely. I think there are developmental quarterbacks in this draft that will be drafted a lot higher than where they probably should be.
So if that is also a perspective of the building, is it not possible that they also know, hey, regardless of if we can get this guy, it would benefit us to have Ryan in the building and therefore already know kind of what his fate is with the team?
I don't think that they already know his fate. Look, Sam, you were a part of it. Everybody was a part of it last year when A.J. Brown got traded. Wasn't that a whirlwind of what we did not know what was going to happen? I was there in Vegas, right there on the draft floor, about, I'd say, 15 feet away from Roger Goodell, or whenever they announced. And my mind, along with everybody in that draft, was shocked that everything had changed. And so I take that, among other things, as learning experiences for the draft of you never know what's going to happen. I don't think John Robinson knew that he was going to trade A.J. Brown the morning that he woke up. I don't think he did. I think he had I don't think that had been committed. So it's hard for Rand Carthon to say that Ryan Tannehill is going to do this, that, or the other when you're going to wake up on draft day and all four quarterbacks could be gone, right? The Titans could be forced to draft a corner or a tackle, or the tackle may not even be there, or a wide receiver. Like, who knows?
Not denying that. No, I'm not denying that. But you have a if-then plan for every scenario, right? You look at the 10 picks in front of you. You say, if Stroud is available at 3, then blank. If Stroud is off the board, then blank. And if Paris Johnson's not there at 11, then blank. That is how these draft boards and draft plans work. You're trying to plan for what is the most probable outcome of what happens in front of you. You're trying to predict the teams behind you and what they're going to do. And then you come up with like tentative plans for what your roster and draft strategy is around that. I think that in doing that process, the Titans come up with basically every one of these little if-thens leads back to, we need Ryan in the building. And if that's the case, you're able to have a conversation with him. You're able to, encourage him to come to workouts. You're operating from a standpoint of, we are thinking Ryan's going to be here. Like, just because the draft is unpredictable doesn't mean you don't have an idea of what you do, like how you zag when everybody else zigs and vice versa.
Do you believe this rumor?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have any reason to believe something of, I think teams might have that perception, but I mean, every team is looking to put something out to get their own, benefit themselves, right?
I do believe this rumor.
We hear the Trey Lance.
I believe that the Titans want to get something for Ryan Tannehill if they could. Whether they will, I think that's going to be difficult. We talked about that. There's not a lot of suitors. They're too late in the game. Everybody's been invited to the dance, right? So there's not a lot of other dance partners, right? So I do believe that the Titans would definitely like that, because then they can shift. They can get something for a player. Then they can save money. And then you're in a whole new realm. I think that the right approach, if you cannot find that suitor, is, as I've said, to keep Ryan Tannehill, groom a developmental quarterback, and move forward, because you want to win games and you don't want to lose your fan base. I stand by that. I just don't know. I don't think anybody knows what the hell is going to happen in the first 11 selections on Friday night, or on Thursday night, excuse me. I just think that it is so unpredictable in today's draft. It's hard for me to commit to the yes on the question. So Look, great topic there. One thing that what I think shakes some things up is where do you stack up against the AFC? Well, something happened yesterday, and we're going to get to that. But Sam, please tell everybody about our brand new sponsor this month, Aura, that helps protection. Everybody needs some protection. Aaron Rodgers is going to need some protection.
Aura is all about protection. I have been getting involved with Aura. I tried it out. Austin sent me the link because anyone can find anything on the internet. That's your full name, your personal info, your home address, phone number, relatives, credit card. Like, there's a lot of scary things on the internet, and Aura helps protect you from it. Aura found 26 different data brokers who had my information online. 18 of those have been removed. They've had my data stripped from them, and they're actively working on removing the other 8. Data brokers profit by selling your information to robocallers, telemarketers, spammers, and anyone else that wants to learn more about you. So if you want to know why you get no caller IDs, or you keep getting phone calls from numbers you don't recognize, you answer the phone and it's a robot talking to you, or you keep hearing, just weird sounds in the phone, it's because you're getting spam callers, and it's because you don't have Aura working for you to help protect you. Our sponsor, Aura, will identify those data brokers who are exposed to your information, automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. Aura service also features a VPN, password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need, all inside one app, and it takes just a couple minutes. I got it. I downloaded the app. I filled out some information, hit a button, and boom, I was good to go with Aura protecting me. So let Aura do the hard work from keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with our link, aura.com/ATOZ.
BetMGM, download the app today. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. With that bonus code, you get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. For new users, use that bonus code ATOZ Sports. All right, let's get to Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers finally got traded from the Packers to the Jets. Jets receive Aaron Rodgers, the 15th overall pick, the 170th overall pick, and the Packers, they switch with the Jets, receive the 13th, 42, 207, a conditional 2024 second-round pick if Aaron Rodgers plays, I believe, 65% of the snaps this year for the Jets. Sam, is that a good trade? Did it end up actually working out for both sides? Who do you think won this trade? And then we're going to get into the AFC and where Ryan Tannehill or whoever the hell is quarterbacking the Tennessee Titans stacks up in the American Football Conference.
Yeah, my gut reaction is that I think Green Bay got the better end of the deal. I mean, it was no secret they wanted to get rid of Aaron and that they were committed to kind of moving on with Jordan Love as their quarterback in 2023. The money with Aaron was scary for them. You could not have Aaron Rodgers on that roster. The Jets have to take on a lot of that money. And really, you aren't confident at all that Aaron will be back with the Jets beyond just 2023. So to give up what likely, as long as Aaron is healthy, will be a first-round pick next year when that 2024 conditional, as well as your get a first rounder back and then a second rounder. Green Bay moves up 2 spots. They get a second round pick and potentially a first round pick next year. That seems like good value for a guy that who knows how long he will play for the New York Jets. And if he does, you're still paying him a lot of money. I think the Packers got a better deal.
Yeah. And I think the Packers, I was in on Aaron Rodgers as a Titan early on in the offseason. And once that kind of died down and changed, you started to hear Aaron Rodgers. I think my concern stemmed from his 4 days of darkness, as he could be a flight risk, right? He could leave. He could retire. This could be a one and done. And you just don't know the stability.
going into darkness, he's like, I'm 80% retired or 9, whatever it was. It was
But
like
how much is that like talk?
True.
Like that's the hard
True.
part to see through, right? Like I could not get a gauge on that. Do I think that the New York Jets can contend this year? I absolutely do. I think that the Jets are in prime position to do that. And
Yeah.
so I mean, now where it stands, the AFC got a lot better. Like it's shifted. The NFC is not very good. If you like compare the quarterbacks, they're not very good. I do want to get to this graphic. I want to read some Lunchbox Money comments from earlier. John was sitting there talking about the Jags have one winning season in several years. Simmer down with the Duval BS. The funny thing is the switch from 11 to where the Titans would have drafted if they would have won that last game. And then back on the Ryan Tannehill conversation, which we'll bring up, Kane says, why didn't Rand get asked, are they taking calls on Ryan? It would have answered a lot of questions, missed opportunity. I mean, Rand fielded a lot of different questions. I mean, you were there. I felt like he was asking a lot of different ones.
Yeah, I mean, you could view it as a missed opportunity. I mean, it's about weighing, your opportunity to ask questions with a question that you actually feel like will get answered, right? I mean, sure, the question was asked about Derek. I still don't know if Rand was being truthful or not there. I mean, he said, no, we haven't taken calls on Derek. Who knows? I mean, like I said, this is a time to hide as much information as you can in order to better your stance. So could it have been asked? Yes. Could Rand's answer be taken as 100% fact and tell you where the status of Ryan is? No, I'm not sure it would. And by the way, just because they get a call about Ryan doesn't really show you how serious they are about trading him or if that's something that they want to do or if the offer was even good enough. Like Rand said in the press conference yesterday, you get calls from teams all the time that ask you about a certain thing that aren't serious about it, but are just trying to figure out what you're doing. They'll say, hey, Tennessee, are you interested in moving back? Are you guys wanting to come back to 15? You guys wanting to come back to 20? They'll ask those questions to try and see, oh, the Titans are considering moving back, or they're not going to do that. They're going to move up. And it's not always a serious offer. So a GM has to kind of decipher what is genuine and what is, just toying with you to try and get more information or being nosy, as Rand called it.
Yeah. And, if you look at the state of the AFC now and what the Titans have to contend with, the current quarterbacks go as such. You've got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, who has an asterisk because we're trying to figure out his situation, Tua, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Jimmy Garoppolo. And then, I think it's a pretty good question. Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill? Who would you rather have as a quarterback?
Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill?
It's tough because one was coming off of an injured season. The other one's coming off of a terrible season with a lot of drama. You got Sean Payton though now.
Am I same contract or does the money matter?
No, it's winning games.
So if I had them both on the same contract and had to pick who wins more games, I'd probably go with Russell Wilson.
Right? So now you're even further down on the list. That's actually a really damn good question. You're in there with Kenny Pickett, Mac Jones, Gardner Minshew, and Davis Mills. Now, Gardner Minshew and Davis Mills will probably be replaced by rookie quarterbacks, and Ryan Tannehill may be replaced by a rookie quarterback. We'll find out. But this
Mac
is
Jones
stiff competition. Can you compete? If you can't compete, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I think you're kind of in that situation. Are you rebuilding? Are you grooming? Are you trying to get a better pick for next year? You don't want to trade away your pick for next year if you're going to have to. This is another big caveat because, and I'll tomorrow, because I won't be on the show Thursday and Friday because I'll be in Kansas City. I have my prediction. I texted Jim Wyatt my prediction for the Titans yesterday. And I thought about it for a couple hours. I was in a little bit of a tizzy.
Yeah.
I texted Jim. I was like, this is the hardest year you've asked me this question. can you compete with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Jimmy Garoppolo, Tua, and Russell Wilson?
From a quarterback play perspective, no. I mean, the Titans' hope is what it has always been, which is that the quarterback play is competent enough, complemented with a very good defense and an elite run game to win a lot of close games. I mean, that is the recipe that they have kind of been sticking to over the last few years. We've seen it work in 2021. We've seen it work in 2020. We've seen it fail epically in 2022 when you lose 7 straight. So, I mean, from a quarterback perspective, though, there's no question that you are not competing at the top of the AFC. And, the only way to do that is either, pay $50 million and give up big capital to trade for Aaron Rodgers. Or, I mean, you look at those guys at the top, drafted by Mahomes, drafted by Kansas City, Allen, drafted by Buffalo, Burrow, drafted by Cincinnati, Herbert was drafted in the first round, Jackson first round, Tua first round. I mean, Deshaun Watson got all that guaranteed money. Trevor Lawrence drafted in the first round. Well, so the top 10 guys are either on $40 to $50 million contracts, or they're drafted by a team in the first round, and then they find a way to lock them up long term. So, I mean, that is the way that you compete in the AFC from a quarterback perspective. And the question remains for the Titans, is that guy available to you this year, or is it next year? And how soon do you prioritize that versus, wanting to compete, which is what we kind of heard Rand explain in that first video of the day.
Yeah, well, and, I think, you look at it, and Rand said this, and you know what, we'll do this. I do actually think that this is valuable to play some of the, we'll play our first video because it talked about the future of, this is what Rand Carthon's biggest decision is do we do this or that? Are we looking towards the future? Are we looking at this list of names and trying to be realistic? Are we looking at this, list of names and trying to compete? I think he addressed that pretty well. But first, and I am going to tell everybody about Wilson County Hyundai. Wilson County Hyundai is where to go to get your next ride. Quick trip down I-40 exit 236. The Palisade is where to go. Wilson County Hyundai's got you covered when it comes to the Elantra or the Sonata, the 4-door sedan. Fuel efficiency out the wazoo. They also have battery-powered vehicle, including the Ioniq. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. BetMGM is giving you a first bet offer with the bonus code ATOZ Sports. You can get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So go ahead and find that pick that you love this week, whether it's on, the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, the NFL draft. Maybe get a little special prop going for the NFL draft. Find that pick, but make sure you place it on BetMGM. Use that code ATOZ Sports, and you can get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win.
A to Z Sports. Let's listen to about Rand in the future, because I think this kind of told us earlier, this is the biggest decision of this week, to be honest.
Do you look at this like there's kind of two ways here? You take a quarterback and possibly you're resetting a little bit. You're probably going to sacrifice some picks. You may have the quarterback sit. You may have to step back a little bit with the new quarterback versus if you don't and you stick with the veterans that you're going to draft to just be as good as possible next season. Is that better?
Yeah. I mean, again, all things are on the table. You don't know how this draft is going to go. Again, it's our job every year to look to improve this roster. And it's not a year-to-year thing, right? We have to see this thing from a macro level and prepare for the future. That's all a part of it. That's what you do when you're constructing contracts. You're not just looking to get a guy signed for this year. You think about future ramifications of the contract and the percentage of the cap that it's going to charge and all those things. So, we're gonna be smart about whatever move we make that's going to set us up not only now but for the future as well.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in the draft. And Sam, he said that before Aaron Rodgers was officially a New York Jet. Not saying that we didn't know that could happen before that. But I do think that the state of the AFC has changed tremendously, that you've got a stadium that's opening in 2027. You got a quarterback with an expiring contract. You've got Derrick Henry, who we haven't even really spoken about today on his comments that we'll probably do tomorrow, or some of the prospects. And you've got a real decision to make in your first year as GM, what direction you're going to go. Do you think Rand knows what direction he's going to go, or is it a wait and see?
I mean, I think the goal of it's a wait and see in terms of like the draft as a whole, because as we went over, you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know if the opportunity to get the quarterback that you like is going to be there or not. So it's hard to say, whether or not they are going to go get the QB. And I do think in terms of an overall franchise view, they have the flexibility to keep Tannehill and, make a push to be competitive. And get that blue prospect, right? They also have the opportunity to grab a special player that they think can help them post Tannehill or post Derrick Henry, post this era into next year. So no, I don't think they know what they're going to do. I think they could trade up. I think they could trade back. I think they could stay and pick at 11. And it all depends on, what happens in front of them, who is there. I think I have a decent idea about what scenarios would warrant a trade up or trade back for the Titans, but there's no telling what teams like Arizona or Houston are going to do, or if a team's going to be a surprise team that moves up to trade. Does Chicago trade back? Does Atlanta trade back? Now, what does that do to picks 7 and 9 or 8 and 9 or whatever they are right in front of you? So those are the things that you have to, react to as a general manager. The goal as a whole should be to get young while staying competitive. That is what I think the goal of the Titans should be, is to, and we'll go more into kind of the word that I would put to describe the Titans' biggest need in this draft. But no, I don't think they know what they're going to do, because it is an opportunity-based decision.
Well, a couple of days away on Thursday, we will find out, and who knows what's going to happen leading up to that. We saw the Aaron Rodgers news yesterday. What news will come out today? We got a lot more to talk about. We had to punt on trivia today just because there's so much to talk about. This is draft week. We want to keep it targeted towards sports. Before we get out of here, though, Sam, please tell everybody about the Bone and Joint Institute and what all they can do to help. You hope that the Titans are not in the same situation. One thing Rand's got to think about is injury history. You can't draft guys with injury history, and you can't draft guys that are going to get hurt. Can't be in the same situation that the Titans have been in the last couple of seasons.
Well, listen, we talked with the Bone and Joint Institute yesterday, Austin and I did, about Hendon Hooker, Tennessee Volunteers quarterback, Hendon Hooker, and his health and what the ACL might be looking like, and could he go in the first round. We talked with Rand Carthon during the press conference about the Tennessee offense and how that might translate to the NFL. And I got to have a good conversation with Rand after the press conference about Hendon Hooker as well. So that's a name to keep your eye on for the draft, a guy a lot of people here in Nashville, and a lot of Titans fans like. So the Bone and Joint Institute, very knowledgeable about Hendon Hooker. Go watch that video. But they are so knowledgeable that they can help you with your own care. They're the region's destination for comprehensive and orthopedic sports medicine care. You can visit them at boneandjointtn.org. So whenever you get hurt in life, you know who you can trust. The Bone and Joint Institute is located in Franklin. They have over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help in your recovery, and they can do it all under one roof for your convenience. That's a clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, rehab. That's as easy and simple as it gets. No driving point A to point B to point C for different appointments, all under the same building and same campus. So schedule an appointment and go to boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports were powered by BetMGM. You can download that app today. Use the bonus code, and you can bet. Look, Will Levis has changed. His odds I've seen have changed as Stroud has dropped. So you can be a part of that with BetMGM. All right, great show there, Sam. A lot to talk about on a Tuesday. We'll have even more to talk about on a Wednesday. probably diving into some of these quarterback draft prospects, Stroud, Levis, Anthony Richardson. Where will they fall? Who will trade up? Who will trade down? As well as Derrick Henry. I don't know if what Rand said yesterday, maybe it made some people feel a little bit more comfortable about Derrick Henry. I don't know. We'll dive into that bright and early tomorrow. Make sure you like the show before you go. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, but like the show on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and also TikTok. And we'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Adios.